Well, good afternoon. So today is the recipe of chocolate macaroons. So for this recipe you will need a few ingredients. The first one will be 40 grams of almond powder. 40 grams of almond powder. 1 egg white, which Marie has prepared. Egg white. And then we will need 15 grams of granulated sugar. 15 grams of granulated sugar, and as well as how many grams of icing sugar?
65.
65 grams of icing sugar. Okay? And then since they are chocolate macaroons, so we will need also some cocoa powder, 5 grams. 5 grams, which is actually here. Okay?
And you subtract the 5 grams from the icing, from the 65 grams, so that would give 60 grams of icing sugar and 5 grams of cocoa powder.
Very well. Thank you, Marie. Okay, by the way, this is Marie and this is Astrid. Astrid, you know, she was teaching you. She will attempt to make a very successful macarons today. So, what is the first step? Is to actually sieve the almond powder together with the icing sugar and the cocoa powder. Okay, at the same time, when Astrid is doing this, Marie will be beating the egg white with a whisker. Okay. And she adds a little bit of sugar, and the granulated sugar goes together with the egg white, but not all together. Voilà. So Astrid starts first with sieving, that means eliminating all the lumps from the almond powder. Voilà. So she will do that until it's finished. At the same time, Marie is doing her egg whites. The egg whites have to be very firm. So when the egg white starts to make a foam, then Marie will add a little bit of sugar in order to make what we call a meringue. This meringue is a cold meringue. Another type of meringue will be the warm one, which is called the Italian meringue, so a bit more sugar. It starts to take shape, but it needs more beating. It should be completely white. Volume is important in macarons. We need to have air trapped in the final product, and that is the reason why we use beaten egg whites. At the same time, Astrid has finished passing the almond powder, the icing sugar and the cocoa powder through the sieve. At the same time, you need to also preheat your oven at 160 degrees. And that will be the temperature at which the macarons will be baked. Egg whites are perfectly firm and they will be able to be mixed together with the almond powder, icing sugar and cocoa powder. But this is an important step. It's called macaroning. Macaroning is making sure that the almond powder goes inside the egg whites, but in a certain way. So take a little bit of the mix and then start macaroning. Gently. By going around and folding the lighter component into the heavy one. So don't mix too much, otherwise your macarons will be flat. This is what happened in the workshop, unfortunately. So it needs careful macaroning. We add a little bit more of the powder. So around 4 to 5 times you need to add the powder. For this you need a bowl as well as a rubber spatula. This rubber spatula can be found anywhere in any supermarket. See, the texture is slowly taking shape. The color starts coming out also thanks to the cocoa powder, otherwise it would be completely white. This is also the time when you start adding your coloring. If you want another color than brown, you can use yellow for lemon, and then red for raspberry or strawberry, and whichever color is available actually. Not more than that. That is enough in terms of mixing. All the ingredients are together, so no problem. We will start shaping the macarons on paper, which is placed on the baking tray. This is like what we call a grease paper, which will ensure that the macarons will not stick to the. So Astrid is preparing now a piping bag, which is a recyclable one. No, it's a disposable one. And we will place the macaron paste inside the piping bag. So basically the texture of the macaron paste resembles that of a volcano lava. So the mix has to go to the bottom of the piping bag. Voilà. So now Astrid will let the mix go to the bottom of the piping bag and will cut the end of the piping bag to the right size, the right diameter. And then she will use the scissors to make the opening. Voilà, about 1 centimeter will be okay. Now, what size?
About 3 centimeters.
About 3 centimeters diameter. Space them well so they won't stick together when they are being baked. Don't worry if there is a little hat on top, it doesn't matter, it will come down later on. Voilà, you should be able to do about 16 macarons, depending on the size. Voilà. So, next to it we have prepared a macaron that has actually dried for about 1 hour now, and these are ready to be baked. Okay, you can see when you touch them it's dry. That means they have formed a little crust, and this crust will actually make the texture, the final texture of the macarons after baking. So we are going to bake these ones into the oven now for about 12 minutes?
10 to 12 minutes.
10 to 12 minutes at 160 degrees. Will probably bring down the temperature to 150. Okay.
It's also important once you've placed all the macarons on the sheet, just tap it lightly so that all the air bubbles rise to the top and don't stay inside the macarons. You can see the air bubbles have already come up to the top, so this is quite essential.
You can see the bubbles here. It has come out.
Yeah.
So, and then the surface of these macarons will become more even as they dry up. Okay. Now the macarons go into the oven. Middle. The oven is actually regulated to be heating up from top and bottom. So temperature is now 150 degrees and it is top and bottom. That means this one. Okay. So it's 1612 and we will remove them at 1624.
6 minutes.
So after 6 minutes the macarons have already risen and are forming a nice little head shape with the legs and the head. Approaching the time of 10 minutes in the oven, and our macarons actually look quite okay with nice feet and legs. So now what we can do, we can switch off the oven completely, open the door and leave them inside the oven for a little while. How many minutes?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. We just wait until it's 1624. But you can see they look okay. Nice even surface on the top. No cracking. Voilà. So 1624. And we now remove all the macarons from the oven. They look good. You can see the legs underneath. So we'll let them cool down now for what? 10 minutes? 10-15 minutes?
Yeah.
15 minutes until they will be ready to be filled with the ganache. Ganache, you have the recipe on your sheet, on your handout. So we'll be filling them in about 10 to 15 minutes. So you can see that they have what we call the leg, that means something underneath, and the head, which is the cap on top. So just a small recapitulation. So it has to be for 12 minutes minimum at 160 degrees. Then you can leave the door open of the oven, switch off the oven, leave the door open for about 2 minutes, but leave the macaron inside the oven. After that, take it out and let it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes before starting to fill it with the ganache. Now that the macarons have been baked, cooled down, it's time to fill them up. So Astrid is going to show you how to fill them up and what is the end result. So basically the macaron should look like this. Take the bottom one, then pipe in the ganache. And then add the top one. Turn it around until it fills all the sides of the macarons. Filling should show equally on all sides. Voilà, the end result of your macarons. Enjoy, bon appétit, and goodbye.